This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by AuthorU and the Book Shepherd. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, welcome to another edition of AuthorU, your guide to book publishing, and we are actually doing a setup to what's happening as the extravaganza gets closer and closer. We're about 7 weeks away, so it's kind of like, Holy Book Batman. If you want to have 3 perfect days for authoring and writing, you want to be in Denver, Colorado, May 7th through 9th at the AuthorU.org extravaganza. And with me is one of our board members, is a exceptional producer of all kinds of goodies, but knows video and actually radio and a little bit of TV and the whole documentary idea and a little bit of what runs on the screen. All of it comes together, and why it's important is authors need videos. Not only do they need videos for their own book trailers, but they need it for their own author pitch, and they need it for a variety of other areas because YouTube is huge, and putting those up and keeping the visuals going and what's happening will keep you and your book alive in front of your audience. So with us is Susie Scott. Susie is a partner in I-25 Productions, and if you've ever seen one of those yummy, extraordinarily commercials like on TV that tries to get your taste buds salivating and beckoning to whatever restaurant's being pitched or whatever burger is out there, Susie could have had her fingers or at least her lens in front of it. So with us, Susie Scott, how are you?
I'm doing well, Judith. Thank you for having me this afternoon. We have snow here. I don't know about you.
What? You had snow down in what part of Colorado are you in?
In Castle Rock, yes. It's been snowing off and on all day. We have a couple new inches of snow today.
Well, I don't like hearing that.
Okay, well, forget I said that then. Let's talk about video and how to help promote some books. What do you say?
Yes, and how to keep them from not looking snowy and fuzzy when they're produced. So,
absolutely, let's do that.
So let's just jump into that and go on to what are the critical elements that an author needs to think about, and which components should they be thinking about having a video about?
Well, it's a kind of a broad question, and if I can address something you said about YouTube being hot and everybody should have some video, approximately 1 in 3 hours of internet usage, whenever we're on the internet, and this is globally, is spent watching video in some form. And so that's Vimeo and YouTube and whatever, but you opened this by saying how important it is. Boy, is it ever. That's just what we do. We're on the internet and we're watching video. So for books, book trailers, and you and I have touched on this as well, it's kind of a broad term. And book trailers can mean video summaries of a book. It can mean author interviews about the book. It can mean a video press release. So there are any number of things that can help promote a specific book, and that's where the author's input becomes so very important. Very broadly, book trailers are used to multiply the visuals you get and how many people become aware of your book. But narrowly, what is the mission for your particular book? That starts with the author. What do you want people to know about that? Why did you write it? What was that burning in your gut to say, I must write this book? People want to know that. They want to know the glitz about it. They want to know the detail about it. But getting that information from the author into a video form is a very tough assignment. Don't mistake that.
All right, so it's the old passion thing. What brings you to the party and the core that they want you to share. But as you know, and I'm sure you're going to state over and over again as we go through our hour together, Susie, is that there's editing going on, so they need to be able to say all those things very in a short matter, clearly, succinctly, and maybe with a little bit of snap, crackle, and pop along the way.
Oh, no question about it. When in the 1 out of 3 hours we spend watching video of some kind on the internet, we don't watch it because we're watching paint dry. We watch something because it's exciting, it gets our interest, the visuals speak to us in some manner. And what you want to do, obviously, is have a video that not only represents your book and your passion, but that speaks to other people as well. Because what you want them to do is share that, like it on Facebook, comment on it, send it on, and have somebody else repost it, get it to bloggers, get it to people who are within that realm of what your book is all about, and share that globally via the internet.
Which is what that whole the buzzword, I know we're going to hear a lot of people using it during the extravaganza, is amplify. They have to learn how to amplify what they have so they can get other people to domino it and amplify it out to their group and their followers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's a great place to start when you're thinking about what kind of video will represent the book that you just put all of your energy into. Comes back to that elevator chat. If you have 30 seconds to tell somebody about this project that means so much to you, what are those highlights? That's a great place for authors to start when they're thinking about putting the highlights of their book into video form. It's something that's tough to boil that down after you just wrote 343 pages. However, that's a great place for people to start to get that down, to be able to put it in video form, to be able to send it on the internet and amplify your message about your book.
Mm-hmm. You know, Susie, I just got through actually writing a mini guide on crowdfunding today, and for that I'm going to be releasing here just very shortly. It was just one of those things that came together, and one of the things is this really has to tie in with that. It's just that pushing that out, and the only way you can crowdfund is to get amplifying going. So that's what it's about. And you got to have a video, so we need to add that to the list too. You use a video. That is a must-have for any crowdfunding campaign. You have to have a video.
Yeah, it really is. That's a requirement. It's not just see, this is important, but there are certain crowdfunding sites that you absolutely must provide a video about your product before they will even agree to consider what you're trying to do with your crowdfunding. So video is everywhere. We know that. The power of moving pictures and having that be something that represents you, your book, and your message can be a tricky business, but oh, so important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is critical. What about, Susie, let me ask you this. What about in your video, should you try to do gimmicks? Should you try to do things that might involve special effects, or should you just, where should they go? How fancy? And I guess we need to talk about, you've heard me say the so-so, better, and the best. What's the barely passable versus what should you be shooting for?
Well, when you mention gimmicks, I really think, Judith, that's driven by your product. So if your product tends to be either, let's say, fiction and science fiction and some sort of special effect or gimmick will help promote and sell what you're trying to say in your book, well, there's certainly room. If you are a nonfiction writer and you're an expert about something that doesn't warrant a gimmick, well, that could go the wrong direction. That could have people scratching their heads when they look at it saying, well, what was that all about? It really is important to match that video image with who you are and what your message is, what you're trying to say about that. That I just can't stress that enough. Now, as far as matching your budget, what it is you're trying to do, that
you mean
can be a whole
the money part?
animal.
The money part?
The money part, the dirty old money part.
Oh, golly. Okay.
It really does drive a lot of decisions people will be making. So you've spent all this time and you put all of the energy and here's your book, and now everybody says I have to have video support for my book. Well, are there ways to do that yourself? Absolutely. There are ways to do that. You can look on the internet and get that done. Are there ways to do it maybe better? Well, there probably are, unless you have a background in editing and know which images you can choose. Keep in mind as you look at this that whatever video you put out there supporting your book, well, that's your face. Every time somebody looks at that, that's you. That's your face. So if you're confident in doing it, and I can edit, and I've done all of these things, my goodness, save the money and do it yourself. If not, you can run the gamut. There are book trailers out there that are complete Hollywood productions that are nearing $20,000.
Yay. Okay, so let's hold on to that thought because we're going to take a quick break because a lot of people thinking $20,000, holy moly, but you didn't hear what Susie said. You can do a selfie yourself. So we're going to come back and talk about the and sometimes the SOSE can be knock your socks off. We'll be right back. It's Judith Briles. My guest is Susie Scott, video producer.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Many of us have dreamed of writing a book.
Some of us even have.
Then the hard work starts.
You'll need an editor.
Who will design the cover or typeset the pages?
Who will format the ebook?
If you're a business owner, consultant, or coach with a serious message and expertise to share, the team of experts at 1106 Design can guide you through the maze.
They've helped more than 1,000 authors create top-quality books and avoid the not-so-reputable self-publishing companies.
Learn more at 1106design.com.
Then call Michelle at 602-866-3226. 1106 Design.
Is there a book in you or another? AuthorU will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. AuthorU brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through AuthorU's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content-heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, AuthorU is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join AuthorU today through its website at AuthorU.org. Follow AuthorU on Twitter at AuthorU and on Facebook at AuthorU, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. AuthorU, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
This is the TogiNet Radio Network. Radio with a cutting edge.
First impressions are everything in the world of book publishing. Whether your book is an ebook, a print version, or both, your book cover needs to pop, sizzle, and sparkle to immediately capture the attention of your audience. And your book's interior needs to be just as dynamic and reflect the professionalism your readers demand. Nick Sellinger of NZ Graphics has won numerous national and international book awards for his cover designs and interior layouts. With over 20 years of experience in graphic design, he knows what it takes to create award-winning books and the many promotional pieces that authors need, such as posters, banners, postcards, one-sheets, business cards, logos, and more. Visit ncgraphics.com and see what authors and publishers have to say about their award-winning books and how NZ Graphics can make your book the success it was meant to be. That's nzgraphics.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
With me today is Susie Scott, and she is a founder and a partner in I-25 Productions here based in Colorado, and she has really very vast experiences in production and producing, whether it's radio, whether it's television, whether it's one of the things that I think, Susie, we should share with them what you did with Jimmy Wayne in a little bit before we leave today. But the things that can be done off the cuff and sometimes extraordinarily planned. And for example, I think it'd be a really great idea. Also, you were instrumental in positioning a book that's just getting ready to debut, that they'll do a revelation, I guess, to the press on Saturday. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. It is actually Auschwitz, number 34207, the Joe Rubenstein story. And we met the author, Nancy Thurwell Geis, last year at the extravaganza. As a matter of fact, she was there. We had the great honor of meeting Joe, who was an Auschwitz survivor, and put together over, since last August, basically, we were able to put together what I consider to be a video summary of that book, of real idea of Joe's life and what he went through, lost his entire family at the age of 14. He was in several Nazi concentration camps, and we got to spend time with him on a couple different days and get his story. He was extremely successful when he came to the United States in the fashion industry in New York City. Cutthroat, very, very, very tough business, and he was a internationally known shoe designer after going through what most of us can't even imagine earlier in his life. So it's a wonderful opportunity for us, a great honor to be involved in that, and that book launches on Saturday.
And that is exciting. I'm going to I'd like to get up there with you with that. I've got an author group here I'm working with till noon, so if we can cocktail with you, that would be terrific. All right, so that became a bigger production than what you thought it was going to be, didn't it?
I think it did.
No.
It really...
for our listeners, I'm just going to say I know it was. But also, here was the value. This is a brag for Susie, and I'd like her to expand on it, is that she saw that there was more to the story than what the author was really talking to the person who the biography was on. And Susie, with her experience, and this is why it's so important to have someone who isn't green, the new kid on the block doing this for you, was able to really root around and find out the real story, which totally redirected what the cover of the book was going to be and became, as well as part of the outcome of this very sophisticated book trailer that looks like, actually, I think it's something that I would expect to see in a movie theater. That was the result. So, Susie, take it from there.
Well, thank you for that. Yes, as I said, we went from sort of expecting a video press release, book trailer sort of thing, and after really getting into the story and finding out about Joe's unbelievable success in the fashion business, being a shoe designer. When he came to this country, he couldn't even speak English, but he did these sketches, and that got him in the door to work with very, very, very famous people. Beth Levine, if you look up the Shoe Museum, she's like the Shoe Museum. It's all about her. And
yes.
Joe worked shoulder to shoulder with her. So it really took on a different focus as we got into it, and became clear that just doing a book trailer sort of thing was not going to be what we needed to really tell this story. So video summary actually is what I would call that. And having the opportunity to sit down with this man, Joe Rubenstein, who went through this, and have him tell the story about not only experiences in this concentration camp, but getting to New York City and starting to work in the shoe business and what that meant, and not afraid of hard work. So it turned into that, and the piece is quite lovely. The people I worked with on that, Nicholas DeSoy, you mentioned the book cover. Nicholas is an incredible photographer, worked for Look magazine for many years, and he happens to be in Denver, also a cinematographer, so he shot this, and he shot the photographs for the book cover, what ended up being the book cover after we got to go up and spend some time with Joe. And A.J. Seiss, who was the editor on this piece, did it with great care. His grandfather was in Buchenwald, so it really was a very personal piece for him as well. So once the book launches, people will be able to have access to it. And I hope they take 9 minutes and 33 seconds to take a look at it.
Yes, and they will. And 9 minutes, and I'm glad that Susie said this, because there are expected links of trailers for certain things. And this was, as I said, you could have really seen this in a movie theater. And it actually ends with the black screen and the white, this is where it happened. But I think that the real story in the aha, this guy was the darling of the shoe industry, the toast of the town. All those bows you see on women's shoes, they are from Joe Rubenstein. He is the creator of those little babies back a gazillion years ago, and yet you can find nothing about him. If you Google him, you'll find nothing. They were invisible, but they were put on the pedestal within the key design stores and shops. So,
oh, no question, yeah, and that's just sort of how he was. Working shoulder to shoulder with Beth Levine, for example. Well, she was the out front, she was the face and the known designer to celebrities for Herbert Levine shoes. It was Beth. She was the company. And Joe was the hard worker and was happy to be back here making designs that made people feel good about themselves. That was his mission. He wants to help everybody and make sure everybody's happy and doing well. So, no, he was the behind-the-scenes guy. There was no question about that. And even in the early 60s, when you think about this, shoes that Joe designed were in Neiman Marcus and Saks were selling for $1,000 a pair. So think about that inflation-wise.
Pretty amazing, huh?
just really his success after what he was through, went through, really, really just staggering.
Right, exactly. So, all right. So what I wanted to do is, and we digressed a little bit, but the thing is, Susie was part of the AuthorU Extravaganza last year. She was one of the sharks in the Author Shark Tank. And when the pitch came from the author that, this was what her book about, everyone jumped in and said, this is what we can do to help you out. And one of the things that Susie did is, I will do the video for you. So, and it turned out to be much more expansive and fabulous than what anyone thought. And that's what's exciting, but that's what a pro can bring to the party. So let's bring back to what these pros cost, Susie, where we took our break last time, and look at the so-so to the better to the best, and how can you negotiate, and what can the author do to understand what will happen for X amount of dollars, or what they need to lay out in their laundry list of things they want, if it's even feasible.
Right. Well, laundry list of what they want is good, but also thinking about your book timeline as you are putting all of the notches on the calendar of things you need to get done. Something that is very, very important, think about the video support for your book as you're moving ahead. And rather than getting to, I did this, okay, I'm ready to do my book, to hit go, oh, I need video. Try to put that into your book timeline as you're moving along, and make some notes about, gosh, this might be good, or maybe I should put together a little fund and set aside some money for that so it doesn't come as quite a big a shock. I mentioned right before we went to break, there are book trailers out there that are Hollywood-type things you would see at a theater for coming soon to a theater near you, type book trailers that are upwards of $15,000, and one I saw that is rumored to be a $20,000 production with cars blowing up and all kinds of stuff. This is not stock footage. These are things that people, they are actors and they created scenes, and the $15,000 one, let me just refer to that, is they have an actress.
Uh-oh. Yep. It's a little break. So we'll come back to this. And yeah, all of a sudden it went from 1 minute to done. So I didn't get my right cue here. All right, so here we go. Susie Scott, we're going to get back to the cost. We'll start that segment over when we come back.
Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Since 1987, Color House Graphics has set the standard for quality book production. Whether you decide to print a small quantity of books or need a large print run, depend on Color House to help you. You'll receive professional help and advice the moment you reach one of our representatives. If you mention hearing about us on your guide to book publishing with Judith Briles, we will provide you a discount on the first order you place. To speak with a project manager, call us toll-free at 800-454-1916 or visit us at www.colorhousegraphics.com.
This is the TogiNet Radio Network, broadcasting quality programming to the world.
When Ned Thompson and Harry Shore started Thompson Shore in 1972, they believed employees with great character would make up the best company. They were right. They hired people who were not only experts in bookmaking, but who were obsessed with quality and delivering exceptional customer service. Almost 40 years later, Thompson Shore remains a 100% employee-owned company. Ned and Harry knew that successful customer projects are a direct result of empowered employees. We specialize in all books for large and small publishers. Creating beautiful and well-made books, we're dedicated to pleasing our customers by making the experience a good one from start to finish. The personal touch we have with our customers allows us to be innovative in solving their most difficult challenges. Our platform also ensures that we can remain flexible to meet our customers' unique needs and expectations. Our marketing kit can create buzz for your title, enhancing the promotion of your book during infancy. When you need to test the market to gauge your future sales, we can provide digitally printed books that will transition seamlessly into a larger offset run. From ebook to hard copy to delivery, our skillful customer service teams are at the ready to answer your most pressing question. At Thompson Shore, we know that making the highest quality books requires more than just best technologies. It requires superior customer service, professionalism to the trade, and commitment to environmental and social values. With these standards of excellence in place, you can be sure that we will always help you put your best book forward.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, so sorry about that goof up. My little scroller wasn't working on my Skype, so I wasn't giving cues. But Susie was into talking about the costs. So let's just recap that setup and how to negotiate that. Not maybe there is a negotiation, but what you should expect if you're trying to be expecting. And I think maybe that's the question, Susie. They don't know what to expect in it. And right. Sometimes it's almost like in everything you wanted to know but didn't know what to ask. So what is everything we need to know but we don't know what to ask when it comes to a video production, both for a simple, say, trailer versus maybe some other types of video runs?
Truly the best thing to do is ask the Google, unless you're a Bing person, but ask the Google.
Oh, I like Google.
Okay, well, and look for some book trailers and decide first what it is you like, what it is you don't like, and make some notes or keep the links so that you can remind yourself, I think this is absolutely perfectly suited for my book and my personality. Or, ooh, that looks a little expensive. I don't know if I can afford that. Well, but at least if you have examples of things you like or that you think will properly and in the best way forward represent you, your voice, and your book, once you start finding companies, and there are a number of them that do book trailers, summaries, press releases, whatever, at least you have some information to share with them rather than how much is a book trailer, because that is a question we really can't answer. As I was saying before the break, this $15,000 production, well, this is a series of books, and they cast a woman as an actress who plays the lead in this series of books. And they set up a scary nighttime, and it's in a forest, and there's flashlights and all kinds of stuff. So a lot of money was spent doing that. Well, people are going to know that's expensive. But I recommend, as you're getting ready to talk to somebody or really start digging in to finding out about a book trailer, get some things you like. Get some examples. Make some notes of, I really think I'd like to recreate a scene, or I don't think I need to do that. I think just some images, some stock images will be just fine. But at least then you're talking to somebody at a video company that will be able to take what it is you're thinking and try to help bring that to life within your budget parameters. That's a great place to start. Make those notes, get some ideas, and through the Google, you'll be able to find some companies that will be able to talk to you and help you on that. Or
So,
to do it
you know,
yourself.
Susie, yeah, it's like what we tell people when they are starting to develop their own website, the first one, or doing a revamp. You go out and you shop and you see what's out there, what you love and what you don't like. So you can talk with the designer to say, this is what I'm looking for, and they can let you know, well, this will work and this won't work with the parameters of what we do. I mean, that makes total sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great place to start. And when we get people calling or asking about things, honestly, if I can't help them, if I don't feel what we do is perfectly suited for what they're looking for, not only will I tell them that, but I'll try to help guide them in a different direction. That way everybody succeeds. We want your book to be successful. If you're asking for something that isn't maybe our bailiwick, my goodness, let us help guide you to a different direction. But at least by coming to us or going to any company with an idea in your head of what you'd like to see, that gives us a starting point, and we can help you or not from there, or send you a different direction.
Well, and I would like to suggest to people that if you want to see a sample of a trailer that Susie did for a couple of my books, you can go to my personal website, which is thebookshepherd.com, and it's right on the homepage. It's right there. You just scroll down. Actually, we're gonna go into a repurpose of my website here very shortly, but to scroll down and you can see a really excellent sample. And I've had more compliments from people, Susie, from that, what you did for AuthorU and Snappy Sassy Salty.
That's great. Good. Thank you for that. We always like to hear good feedback, too. Very helpful.
So let's go back to, I kind of asked, some of those questions of what are the questions you wish people would ask you and they never do? I think that's a valid question to ask you.
Right. In the question they always ask is, how much is a book trailer? So that's the one that is always asked. And please understand, I don't mean to diminish the importance of your budget when you're asking that question. But it's also kind of like, how much is a red car? Because you heard me say, here's $15,000 to $20,000, or you can do it yourself. And sometimes the do-it-yourself options are great. So the questions that are really good for people to ask, once they have really determined what their mission for video support for their book is, and oftentimes that hasn't happened when they get to us, but ask us, well, here's the information about my book. Here's what I think. How long do you think that should be? Do you have a sense of that? What about music? Do you think it should be music? Should I, as the author, be on camera talking about this? I don't think I'm comfortable on camera. I don't know if I want to do that. What about pictures? My book is very visual, but it doesn't have pictures, any photographs or illustrations. How would you go about supporting that? And these are answers that any producer in this business will be able to tell you. One of the things we do our homework, and gosh, I'd like to have a copy of that book, even if it isn't finished, but let me at least take a look at it. So maybe there's something that you, as too close to the book, haven't thought of. Let us take a look at it. We may be able to flesh something out that's a little different take on that. But coming in, pardon me, knowing, at least having a range on your budget is really helpful. Coming in and asking for a lot of things and not laying your budget expectations on the table, that doesn't work for anybody. If I can't help you for that amount of money, I may be able to send you to somebody who can if I can't figure out how to get there. Or let's think about possibly another idea. But if you also do your homework and people have researched their book, they've spent all of this time We know video is a very, very important addition for a book launch, for helping support that book. People are watching video. You got to have it. Well, you also need to have some expectations. So do a little bit of research about things you like and things you think will help match you, your voice, and the presentation you care to make before you start down the video path.
And that's those are the questions. And, let me just say, add on to what you said about having a copy of the book, that I am a huge proponent, if you've listened to the show enough, that how important it is to have a good-looking interior, just not line after line after line of a text. And when you really do have a design that does incorporate those pictures or call-outs or sidebars, or maybe it's unusual, that one of the techniques, I know Susie did it with the book one for Snappy, Sassy, Salty, that you actually saw just a quick scan of some of the interior pages, so you knew that when you opened it, you could fall in and see kind of the fun that the designer had in laying out these different quotations. And I loved that. Didn't expect it, but I loved it.
Well, that's good. And again, the more information you can provide to somebody who's trying to work with you on helping promote your book, the better the product's going to be. Then there will be no surprises rather than trying to guess. So you do your research. We like to show up having researched what it is we're doing as well. So that just, I'm a big proponent as a producer. This is what we do. Pre-production. Yes. We spend a lot of time doing that, and that includes conversations and ideas, and how about if we trying to get those things done. So conversation ahead of time when people are trying to figure out a direction for a book trailer or a video press release, or I don't know, which direction should I go? Well, in the Joe Rubenstein book, it was a video summary.
Yeah,
maybe you have. I'm sorry?
Now what is he's seen the video. Does he love it?
I have to beg off on that because I haven't had a follow-up conversation with Nancy.
You'll find out Saturday.
He will. Now, he and his family liked the previous cut, so I haven't gotten any indication from them now that we went to final. So I can't imagine not, and so I think it'll be good.
Good. All right, we're going to take one more break here, coming up here shortly. And then what I want Susie to really get into is, besides some of the things she's talking about, the prep and the questions, but even the visuals. I think that's very important, how you as the author, if you're going to be on camera, how you need to present, because a lot of times they don't get that. So we'll be right back. It's AuthorU, your guide to book publishing. My guest today is Susie Scott of I-25 Productions.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the book shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems. You want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher or by a publishing service provider, or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the book shepherd if you want to create a book with no regrets. Give her a call today, 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207, or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at My Book Shepherd and on Facebook at The Book Shepherd.
Total Printing Systems customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, so in this last segment, we want to get into some of these areas of how to use these videos and going out there and posting them. And certainly I opened up with YouTube, which is owned by Google. I think they bought it for $6 billion. They made a decision within a 24-hour period to go after it. But it's certainly, I think it's number 3 in search engines out there that people identify with. But one of the things that Susie Scott, the producer at I-25 Productions, says is there's a lot of other places to post videos and go with them that many don't know about and what's coming along, and including Google has a new player in the game. So, Susie, what are some of those options, and where should we be going with these? And I should also ask you here, and I'm not sure if you'll know that, is there, do you get dinged if they're in multiple places? I know sometimes, like if you have a blog and you share it in one platform and all of a sudden someone duplicates it and puts it on there, Google will ding you down. And it's kind of crazy, but they do.
Okay, no, I don't. I guess sadly, but thankfully on some level know the inner workings of Google and dinging you for being in other places, and for heaven's sake. Well, the first thing about visibility and getting your message out there, Judith, you are the master at social media.
I don't know about that, but I am all over it.
I would say you have attained master level. And having a link to your own Facebook page or your own author website. But also on YouTube, if you link to YouTube, that's great. But a lot of people do not know about a service called Vimeo, V as in Victor, yep. I-M-E-O, Vimeo. And you can have a free account at Vimeo and host multiple videos there. If you get to a certain point, like other sites, then they would like you to pay, but you certainly can start that for free and link video pieces if you want to do your own video blog or whatever the case may be. You can have an account on Vimeo, and that is a great place for people to see your video. We have had terrific luck with that as far as playability and high impact, and people can go to a Vimeo site as well. So I strongly recommend taking a look at that and trying to make sure, as we know, the goal is to get your video shared, commented on, and reposted. So make sure that's what you're trying to do and get it in front of bloggers and get it in front of as many people as you can to help multiply the visibility of your new book. Mm-hmm. That's why you need to be in video.
So that would make sense. Whatever you've put up on YouTube, for heaven's sakes, go over and drop it into Vimeo and do that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. What else is on your hit list?
Well, we were talking about, as you said, so, better, and best. Mm-hmm. people hear $15,000 or $20,000 and either turn things off or pass out at their desk. You don't have to spend that. There are things, if you look at the Google, that you can do this yourself. There are also a number of companies that would love to help you put together something to help promote your book. Ask the Google, ask Bing, ask any of them, and they will be able to help you. But arm yourself before you get to that point as far as things you like. Do your research, too, so that you are confident as the author that the video product you are going to share and hope to have reposted, and it's on YouTube and Vimeo and Facebook pages, represent you and the message you have put forth in your book. I just can't stress that enough. It needs to really talk to you or for you. You mentioned about people being uncomfortable, perhaps, about being on camera. Let me share a quick story about Gail Mancini. We had the great pleasure of doing a video for Gail Mancini's book. And when Gail showed up at the studio, she was visibly shaking. She was incredibly nervous.
Oh, she was shaky. I remember that. I remember.
She just was.
I was there.
And yes, and she said, I've never been on camera. I just, it's a conversation. You know about your book, and Steve was doing the interviewing, and you're going to tell him about your book. It's going to be very easy. The change between when she first arrived at the studio and when she was walking out and said to the other people in the lobby, that was great. It was so easy. That really comes down to having production people that have been around and know how to put the interviewee at ease. That's really what that comes down to. If you're not used to looking into a camera, some people, it is incredibly natural. And other people looking into that lens, it's paralyzing and can be very daunting. But if you have some people who really have been around and know how to put you at ease, and the camera's over there almost invisible, and you are now having the opportunity to share the story about your book and why you did it and making sure that passion comes through, well, then being on camera becomes a lot less scary.
Well, I actually like talking right in the camera, but I had to do it for years because I did remote for CNN, blurbs in their business section. They used to have CNN FN, and I was a weekly regular on them. So I learned how to do that. I have no problem, but people, you just have to just think it's a person you're talking directly to and having a cup of coffee with, and you just keep eye contact. Do that. There's a new player in town. You mentioned it earlier, and I'm certainly not an expert in it, but it's the Google TrueView that you could create a little video. But this is what everyone needs to know. It's not like Vimeo and it's not like YouTube type posting. This is really a platform that's been established for advertising. And for that, you actually put something up, and if someone watches it for more than 30 seconds, you have to pay for that. So here is a hint. If you want to use this platform, it's just another one to get out of. If you can get things out in a snappy, sassy, salty type of format, snap, crackle, and pop, and do something like 25 to 28 seconds, you could do a whole bunch of shorties. And throw them up there because you won't get any charges for anything because no one will ever go more than 30 seconds.
Right. It's as we said, Google is a new entry into the Google category. And when you're looking at, so I planned and I did my research and now I have a book trailer and wait a minute, now I have to have something that's less than 30 seconds? What is this? Well, think about that going in and make sure you tell your producer or you make notes to yourself, hey, by the way, I'm going to do Google TrueView, or I'm going to do these little email blasts with short pieces of video in here that will go through email rather than having to do an FTP site or a file transfer protocol of some other kind. So little short videos. Know that going in. And as you are putting together your ideas or when you're working on an edit, make sure you have somebody looking for those nuggets to be able to pull out that would take very little revision to make that quick message, hey, this is, and here's my book, and find it here, or you've always wanted to know about, fill in the blank. Mm-hmm. Here's who I am, and click, and away you go. So those are great things to keep in mind. Or, okay, you're going to do a book tour. As you're putting together your video support for your book, make sure you have something that you can send to the TV station when you're going to be on the morning show that will help with your intro. You're going to be on that show, and the book is in wide release, and you are the guest, and you're allowing them to show a piece of something that you produced. That's where quality is going to come into play. It's going to have to be broadcast quality, but it's still something that you've designed to represent you that also is very cohesive, and there's that nice golden thread leading back to your book trailer. So all of those pieces can play together.
Exactly. So we've got all of that as we come together. You know, one we have not mentioned at all, and I know we just have a couple of minutes here, is the Animoto platform, which is totally different. It's totally a do-yourself, and you can do it very, very short. And I'm a huge supporter of Animoto to play around with, to do things. I've certainly done an initial when I was first beginning, when I didn't know anything. I used Animoto. I've done Christmas cards on Animoto to family and friends. And there's for $30 a year, you can get around and play in and put together some 30-second, some 1-minute areas that use key phrases or ahas, or you can drop in pictures. You can even drop in video inside of it to play with. So I would encourage everyone to explore that also. So that would be, you know, on the cost end, that is way at the other end of the spectrum. And bringing in producers and, you know, 1 and 2 cameras, yeah, it's going to be at the other end of the spectrum. Would that be fair to say, Susie?
Yes. And again, when you're looking at Animoto, that's great. And you can do a lot of fun stuff. But even with Animoto, have some idea of the message you want to say before you get in there. Because there are a lot of things to play with.
We're going to have to close on that. You have to be so tight, you only have a few characters and words to be able to use with Animoto. Exactly. It's not long. All right, with me, Susie Scott. Thank you so much. I-25 Productions. She'll be at the extravaganza showing you how to make that killer video and book trailer. I'm Judith Briles. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for being a part of Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Each week, a variety